You know that feeling when you're absolutely certain something happened, but someone keeps telling you it didn't? And not just once, they tell you again and again, with such conviction, such certainty, that you start wondering if maybe, just maybe, you're the one who's wrong. That's not confusion. That's not a simple disagreement. That's gaslighting. And if you're here right now, listening to this, there's a good chance you felt it. Maybe you're feeling it right now. Here's what I want you to know before we go any further. You're not crazy. Your memory isn't broken. And what you're experiencing? It has a name, a history, and most importantly, it has a solution. But first, we need to understand what we're dealing with. Because Machiavelli knew something 500 years ago that's still true today. The greatest power isn't physical force. It's the ability to control what people believe is real. Think about it this way. If I can make you doubt your own eyes, your own ears, your own memory, I don't need to threaten you. I don't need to overpower you. You'll police yourself. You'll second-guess yourself. You'll defer to me because you've stopped trusting the most fundamental tool you have: your own perception. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince that appearing virtuous is more useful than being virtuous. The gaslight doesn't just lie. They construct an entire alternative reality and make you feel guilty for not seeing it their way. Thomas Hobbes understood this too. In Leviathan, he described how fear and uncertainty make people desperate for anyone who seems certain, who seems to have answers. The gaslighter weaponizes that desperation. Here's a concrete example. Let's say your partner promises to pick you up at 6 p.m. 6 o'clock comes and goes. No call, no text. You wait until 7:30, worried, frustrated. When they finally show up, you say, "You said 6 p.m." And they look at you, confused, concerned even. "No, I said 7:30. We talked about this yesterday, remember? You even said that worked better for you." But you know they said 6. You remember the conversation. You planned your whole day around it. They continue. "Babe, are you okay? You've been forgetting things a lot lately. Maybe you should get more sleep." Notice what just happened? In 30 seconds, the narrative shifted from their broken promise to your faulty memory, from their accountability to your mental health. That's gaslighting in action. Now, repeat after me. I trust what I know to be true. Let's go deeper, because understanding how this works is the first step to breaking free from it. Gaslighting isn't random. It's not just lying. It's systematic psychological manipulation designed to make you dependent on the manipulator's version of reality. Francesco Guicciardini, Machiavelli's rival, wrote extensively about political flexibility and adaptation. He understood that the most effective manipulation doesn't announce itself. It adapts to you. It finds your vulnerabilities and exploits them so subtly that you think the doubt was your idea. Here's how the architecture works, and I need you to listen carefully because you might recognize these patterns. Stage 1. Foundation. The gaslighter establishes themselves as the authority on reality. They might do this by being incredibly confident, or by positioning themselves as more rational, more educated, more experienced. They're the calm one, the logical one, the one who just wants to help you see clearly. John Locke talked about consent in relationships and governance. He said legitimate authority comes from mutual agreement and respect. Gaslighters invert this. They manufacture authority by making you believe you can't trust yourself without them. Stage 2. Contradiction. They start small, little inconsistencies. They say one thing Tuesday, deny it Thursday. When you call them out, they don't get defensive, they get concerned about you. I never said that. Why would I say that? Are you feeling all right? Montesquieu designed systems of checks and balances because he knew unchecked power corrupts. In a gaslight relationship, there are no checks, no balances, just their word against your increasingly shaky sense of certainty. Stage 3. Isolation. This is where it gets darker. They start suggesting that other people have noticed your problems too. Your mom mentioned you seemed off last week. Even your best friend thinks you've been acting strange. Maybe those people never said that. Or maybe the gaslighter told them things that made them concerned. Either way, your support system starts to feel unreliable. You feel alone in your version of reality. Max Weber wrote about legitimate authority coming from rational legal systems, tradition, or charisma. Gaslighters create a twisted charisma, where you become charismatic by agreeing with them, where clarity only comes when you submit to their narrative. Stage 4. Dependency. By now, you're exhausted. Questioning yourself constantly is draining. It's so much easier to just agree, to let them tell you what's real, to stop fighting. And that's exactly where they want you. Repeat after me. My perception matters. My experience is valid. Here's what I mean. Imagine your boss assigns you a project with a Friday deadline. You work all week. Friday morning, you submit it. Friday afternoon, they call you into their office, angry. This was due yesterday. We discussed this. I'm disappointed you can't keep track of basic deadlines. You know they said Friday. You checked your notes. You confirmed via email. They pull up an email thread, and there it is, Thursday. Did they edit it? Did you misread? You stare at the screen, reality tilting. Maybe I should loop HR in if this keeps happening, they say, voice dripping with false concern. You're not incompetent. You're being manipulated. And in that moment, the architecture is complete. You doubt yourself. They control the narrative. You become smaller. They become more powerful. Tacitus wrote about how tyrants rewrite history to suit their needs. Gaslighters do the same thing, except the history they're rewriting is yours. Let's talk about why this works. Why smart, capable, strong people fall into these patterns. Because you need to understand, this isn't your fault. Jean-Jacques Rousseau believed in the general will, the idea that societies function when there's shared reality and collective truth. Gaslighting destroys that. It creates a private dictatorship where only one person's will matters. Think about it this way. We're social creatures. We need validation. We need to feel understood. When someone we trust, someone we love, someone we work with tells us our reality is wrong, part of us wants to bridge that gap, to find the truth that makes both realities fit. But here's the thing. Sometimes both realities can't fit, because one is true and one is a weapon. Thomas Hobbes was right about one thing. Without shared truth, you get chaos. The state of nature where everyone's at war. Gaslighters create that chaos in your mind so you'll surrender your sovereignty to them in exchange for the illusion of peace. Carl Schmitt, the controversial political theorist, defined politics as the distinction between friend and enemy. Gaslighters make you the enemy of yourself. They split you in two. The you who knows what happened and the you who's afraid that you might be wrong. Repeat after me. I am whole. I am not my doubt. Here's a concrete example from history. Livy, the Roman historian, documented how leaders manipulated public perception during Rome's Republic. When the Senate wanted to justify war, they didn't just lie. They created elaborate narratives that made citizens question their own judgment about peace. Didn't you hear about the threat? Everyone knows. Why are you the only one who doesn't see it? Sound familiar? The gaslight doesn't need everyone to believe them. They just need you to stop believing yourself. So how do you fight back? How do you reclaim your reality? First, documentation. Machiavelli advised princes to keep detailed records of allies and enemies. You need to keep detailed records of reality. Write things down. Save texts, email confirmations. Not because you're paranoid, but because you're protecting your sanity. When someone says, "I never said that," and you have it in writing, the spell breaks. Second, trusted witnesses. Montesquieu's separation of powers works because no single entity controls everything. You need people in your life who aren't controlled by the gaslighter. Friends, family, therapists. People who can say, "No, I was there. You're right. That's what happened." Third, trust your body. Aristotle wrote about practical wisdom, phronesis, knowing through experience. Your body knows. That knot in your stomach when they start rewriting history? That's not anxiety. That's your nervous system screaming, "This is wrong." Listen to it. John Locke believed people have inalienable rights: life, liberty, property. I'd add one more: the right to your own reality. No one gets to take that from you. Not your partner, not your boss, not your parent. No one. Here's what gaslit people often don't realize. The manipulator is working so hard. They're spinning plates, keeping track of lies, managing contradictions, creating elaborate performances. You know what's easier? The truth. When you start trusting yourself again, their house of cards collapses. Because gaslighting only works when you participate in your own confusion. Repeat after me. I choose clarity. I choose truth. I choose me. Here's where we land this. Because understanding gaslighting is powerful, but freedom from it? That's everything. Max Weber identified 3 types of legitimate authority: rational legal, traditional, and charismatic. Gaslighters rely on a 4th, illegitimate type: manufactured authority through your self-doubt. The moment you stop granting them that authority, the game is over. Let me tell you what that looks like in practice. Your partner says, "You're remembering it wrong again." Old you: "Am I? Maybe I am. I'm sorry." New you: "No, I remember clearly. We're not doing this." No explanation, no defense, no justification. Just a boundary. A line they can't cross. James Madison, inspired by Machiavelli's realism, designed the U.S. Constitution around one brilliant insight: ambition must be made to counteract ambition. He didn't trust anyone to be purely good. He built a system where power checks power. You need to be your own system of checks and balances. When someone tries to rewrite your reality, your internal Madison needs to say, "Not today." Here's the truth that Machiavelli, Hobbes, Rousseau, all of them understood. Power is only real when it's recognized. The gaslighter has no power if you stop recognizing their version of reality as superior to yours. Think about it this way. Cesare Borgia, Machiavelli's model for the prince, maintained power through fear and spectacle. But when people stopped being afraid, When they stopped believing in his invincibility, he fell fast. Your gaslighter is the same. Strip away the performance, and what's left? Someone desperately trying to control you because they can't control themselves. That's not power. That's fragility. And you're not fragile. You're here, listening to this, looking for answers. That takes courage, real courage. Repeat after me. I am enough. I know enough. I am worthy of truth. Here's what I need you to do after this ends. First, name it. Out loud, in a journal, to a friend. Say, I think I'm being gaslit. Naming it robs it of its power. Second, create space. Physically if you can, emotionally if you must. Distance gives you perspective. Fog clears when you step out of it. Third, rebuild your reality. Not their version, not some compromise. Yours. What do you know to be true? What do you value? What do you need? Start there. And fourth, get support. Therapists, support groups, people who've been through this. You're not alone. You never were. Erasmus and Thomas More, contemporaries of Machiavelli, believed in human dignity and reason. They argued that people deserve respect, truth, and freedom. You deserve that too. Gaslighting thrives in silence, in isolation, in shame. But you're not silent anymore. You're not isolated. And there's no shame in being manipulated by someone who studied your vulnerabilities and exploited them. That's on them, not you. Here's my final thought, and I want you to carry this with you. Reality is not a democracy. What happened, happened. What you felt, you felt. What you know, you know. No vote can change that. No manipulation can erase it. You are the sovereign authority of your own experience. Repeat after me one last time. I trust myself. I believe myself. I am my own proof. You came here looking for answers. I hope you found some. More importantly, I hope you found permission. Permission to trust yourself again. If this resonated with you, if you recognized yourself in these patterns, do me a favor. Share this. Hit that like button. Subscribe. Because someone in your life needs to hear this too. Someone's reality is being rewritten right now, and they think they're alone. Show them they're not. You've reclaimed your power today. Now help someone else reclaim theirs. Remember, Machiavelli taught princes how to manipulate, but we're learning how to be free.